rolled out this San Jose Convention Center. Like there were so many. Like I'm like, what is this company? How could they?
Yeah.
Okay.
So unlike the meeting we were at, this one's actually follows the
That's great.
And so the meeting has started.
Okay.
And Elizabeth, you want to call it to order?
Calling to order the UNNC Environmental Committee meeting. Welcome to anyone who is on YouTube, watching now or in the future. I'm Elizabeth Fenner, nominal president, and I'd like to, what? I feel so tired.
Are you a president?
I'm so tired.
Chair?
Acting president.
Chair?
Chair. Oh, yeah, you're right. Chair. I'm sorry. And wicked tired. I want to shout out to LaSalle Avenue Elementary School, the best elementary school in LA. And I'd like to pass it down the table.
Okay.
Next, so would you
Introduce
introduce yourself?
Just briefly.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Annie Lesser, and I am a community member, and I'm the artist in residence at the amazing Grace Conservatory over at Washington and Wilton.
And I'm Laura Myers, and I am on the UNNC board. I'm a resident of Angeles Vista and sort of the co-chair, but not really officially, of this environmental committee. And Teresa is arriving.
Oh, great.
Hi, Teresa.
Hi, everyone.
So we just are doing introductions. There's you and three of us here. And if you would introduce yourself, and then you'll reintroduce yourself because she hasn't met you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Teresa Masonette. I'm on the board of the United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council, and I represent the West Adams Avenues.
Hi, Teresa. I'm Annie Lesser, and I am the artist in residence at the Amazing Grace Conservatory over at Washington and Wilton.
Yes. Hey, Amy, glad that you're here. I know we have our governing board meetings in the building across the street, so glad to see you.
Right. Some of us met her at the CERT training workshop.
Oh.
And I think I'm going to post the agenda, but I think when we get to general public comment, she'll tell us a little more. But just for our purposes, I'm going to share the screen with the agenda.
Nicely done.
Kind
of. Okay, so call to order, and did everybody get a chance now to review the agenda, either from the email or online, or a handout that Laura provided, including composting, a new LaSalle Neighborhood Council liaison, community recycling event, an idea for an event for 2025, and also future environmental committee agenda items for 2024.
And we have the bottom.
Rediscover Center's Earth Day Sustainable Arts event on April 21st. Absolutely, that's number 5. Good.
So
Onward to, everybody approved the agenda,
we don't need to.
I think. And next to general public comments.
You have a great project.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to talk for a second about my project. I got partnered with Amazing Grace Conservatory through the California Arts Council's Creative Corps grant program, which we got ours distributed from the Arts Council of Long Beach. And basically I am creating audio theater pieces that take place around the neighborhood after envisioning how the neighborhood would be affected by an earthquake, as well as working alongside Amazing Grace Conservatory to create those. So I'm co-writing with parents and community members the theater pieces, as well as casting students, alumni, and staff in the voice roles, and as well as including voices from the community. And then I am teaching the students how to make augmented reality camera filters that have animations that educate on other earthquake safety tips. And we are going to be doing 2 workshops on game design and set design, and using those to create a community cooperative tabletop game, as well as a set design to also educate on how to bring communities together in earthquake safety. And we're going to have a huge event the second to last weekend in June, where we're going to present all of these artworks that have been created over the last year, and also have safety demonstrations, and we're trying to get local businesses involved to feature local businesses. So that's the project, and we just want to get community involved in it.
That's big.
It's big, and I understood 3/4 of the words.
So is there anything specific that you'd like from this committee?
I just, if there are any small businesses that like to be featured, or if there are any historic landmarks that also you feel should be featured in this
one.
Yeah, we would love to include that and incorporate that into the planning. And also to, if there are any small businesses that want to collaborate, we'd love to get you either to have a table at the event in June, or to promote your businesses as having like a deal or a special related to the event, and maybe in exchange for having QR code at your business for the website where we're going to have all the artwork. Because even after the June event is done, all of the artwork, because it can be done and experienced virtually, will be housed on a website that hopefully will be up in perpetuity, so that people can continue to experience the art even after the event is over.
And you're calling it art, but it
Yeah.
is also informative.
It's informative, yes. And the way that it's also designed too is, so for example, the audio piece that we're working on recording right now, one of the characters, for example, their bookshelf falls down and they hurt their hand in it. And so in that, when you're listening to the audio and you're hearing this happen to the character, a link will pop up with a YouTube video showing you how to safely affix your furniture to the wall. But then also too, a couple minutes later, 30 seconds later, when another character goes to do first aid on her hand, we're hoping to put in a link that goes to first aid certification course. And or if when earlier on in the episode or the audio piece before the earthquake hits, one of the characters who just moved to the neighborhood, someone's looking to be admitted. One of the characters who just moved to the neighborhood moved from Houston, and so they're talking about the issues getting aid after Hurricane Ike, and then a link will pop up to show kind of the inequities in the disbursement of aid. So kind of educating as you're listening to the art and linking to resources, but it's supposed to be engaging emotional artwork, so you hopefully will retain the information and connect to it versus, just getting information thrown at you.
Wow.
Hello, Kareem.
Hi.
Okay, we're on general public comments, and Teresa has her hand raised.
Teresa.
Hi, Elizabeth and Laura. I just want to comment on Amy's comments about that project. It sounds amazing. And that augmented reality, oh my gosh. I can't wait to see what kind of creative art these students come up with. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the kids were so excited about the software and what they could do with it that they were kind of planning overly ambitious projects. And last week we really honed in on them that it's, because they only have like a week left to finish their projects, at least a first draft of them. That they really should hone in on the message. So, getting them to really think about the message. So one of them really wanted to do things with animals and be outdoors. But we're like, okay, but what's the message? And they came up with the idea that, if you are at a public park, like this one over here, and you have you bring your own barbecue to the park, if an earthquake hit, you could start a fire. So they want to do an animation which shows a barbecue kind of falling over and fire starting, and you see like animals flying away from that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's serious.
Right. Very
That's
okay.
Nice thinking too.
All right.
Well, great. I think we can.
Yeah. Do we have any other general public comments on items not on the agenda? Teresa, can I put you on the spot and ask you to tell us just a teeny weeny bit about the SEMO thing today?
Oh, yes, certainly.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. As you know, I may not have joined this, but I felt so bad about it starting late. Today there was a conference with the City Climate Emergency Mobilization Office, and it really focused on environmental justice and organizations that are, advocating or trying to correct some of the EJ, policies that have been in place over the years. There were 3 different tracks. The first track had several different city entities there: LADWP, Street Services, the City Forest Officer, LA Sands, and they each, depending on which table you sat at, they discussed some of their current climate priorities and ways that they're trying to mitigate some of the heat that we are experiencing and we're going to continue to experience as we go through climate change. Another station was about storytelling, and there were several people from local neighborhood councils. There was a large contingent of people from Wilmington who talked about the pollution with the oil rigs down there and the burn-offs and other really nasty environmental things that are happening down there. So they talked about their experience, and there's a lot of nonprofits, ACE and some other nonprofits that are trying to deal with that. And the last one was an actual gratitude tree where we shared some ideas of what things in this climate that we're in, the actual literal climate, are we grateful for? And as you guys know, I'm a big advocate for trees. So when I think of a climate solution, I think about shade canopy, and I think about one of the things I'm also grateful for with the trees are the birds and the insects and the wellness and that provides us as we're walking down the street or we're headed, you're sitting in a park and you can hear trees and insects. So overall, it was a lovely experience. There were a lot of people there, and it was. Any questions or?
Well, I had been reading about it and thought it sounded really good to go, but all day on a Thursday just became impossible for me and for Elizabeth as well. And
Jasmine Johnson was there.
Who was?
Jasmine Johnson.
Oh, great.
Yes.
So UNNC was represented.
Yes, yes.
No, that's good. I mean, I know
yeah.
they had a limit of like 150 people and it was for the whole city. So if we had 2 people there, that's actually fine. That's good.
Right, I didn't know that there was a limit. I would say
Yeah.
that there were certainly over 100 people there. I don't know if it reached 150 or 200, but there certainly were over 100 people there. So,
So I'm thinking Lisa Hart was there.
Oh,
yes, I did not meet her. I was talking to a neighborhood council guy from Rampart Division or Rampart Neighborhood Council, which reminds me, Laura, he was asking about, he didn't know about HPOZs. And I said, I don't know if you are, maybe you're CPIO. I don't know. I'll check with our planning person who knows all those things. So maybe we can talk about that later. But
Okay.
Lisa Hart came over to talk to him because he also goes to the NASCA meetings. So.
Got it. Yeah, she had been putting out word on this, so I assumed she was going. Okay. Anybody have questions?
Yeah, Teresa, did they talk anything about policy that reduces emissions? Sort of statewide, citywide, or statewide?
There was a lady there from the California Public Utility Commission or something like that. Maybe one of the city agencies did. LADWP talked about emissions, reducing emissions as they are trying to go electric with all of their trucks and trying to develop e-hubs which will be solar paneled and you can just pull in and charge your vehicle and also get Wi-Fi and so they're coming up right now. They have a test of 2 locations for these e-hubs, and I was thinking if they're substantial locations, but if we had any vacant lots where we could do that, Laura, I thought about that place where they want to put a 7-Eleven in on Washington.
Right.
That might be a candidate for an e-hub, but I don't know. So no, I'm sorry, Elizabeth.
Okay.
That's all I know about the commission.
Honestly, I didn't expect it, but so I would have been happily surprised if they had talked about some kind of overarching policy. But thank you for having an ear out for that. Cool. Anybody else?
Okay.
Marius, hey, how you doing? Welcome.
Hello, how is everybody?
Fine, thank you. How are you, Marius?
Good.
Awesome.
We're still, this is mostly a chit chat meeting, but we're still in the general public comments portion of the chit chat. But about to move on to announcements that were actually on the agenda.
And any more announcements or public comment?
That were not on the agenda.
Oh, yes, I believe I just saw a sign over at my local market saying that the CRV has been for bottles and what have you has been increased for other items such as wine boxes and other things. So I haven't done much research. I just looked and saw it. So it seems like it's good news that it's expanding to other things that are sold that could be recycled.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they also increased the amount. I noticed that I bought a thing of water and the CRV was more expensive than the water. So
25 cents a piece?
I don't know. I just noticed the ratio.
Great.
So
great. Okay, well, that's meaningful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marius. That's awesome. That's good news.
Okay.
So I think unless Kareen has something, I think we're going to move on. This is super important, and I think this is easily shareable to say 3A. How is composting going for you? LAist wants to know. I really wish it were LADWP wants to know, but we'll take LAist. This is the kind of link, laist.com/news/climate-environment/ how is California's compost law going for you, is easy to share on any of the social media and encourage our friends and family, anybody in Los Angeles, to fill that out. I think we have to look at that square in the eye and hope that it's going well, but be real serious.
So it was on the agenda, and I'm also going to post the link in the chat.
Has anybody taken it yet? I haven't taken it yet.
I have not.
So I'd like to know how many minutes it takes to fill it out, but even if it's 20 minutes, I'll fill it out.
Yeah, so, and,
I don't, easy,
you know,
because I
how
don't use it.
is composting going for you?
I don't, because I have my own backyard compost. So
Got it.
anybody, how's your compost?
My building still hasn't gotten a composting bin.
Okay.
Okay, well, it's not going,
Multi-unit, okay.
not
Yeah.
going well. And I'm having trouble because I don't have trouble at home, but I have trouble at work.
Okay, wow, because they don't use it? They don't put their food in it?
Yeah, they're not, I'm putting food in, but yeah, not so much.
Oh, only, okay.
Only my food.
Okay, and you see all the other food going into the trash?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, old habits died hard. Let's go around the room. All right, it's Teresa, Corrine. Green bin compost?
I too, I have a double composter in the back, so I only rarely use it. Like last week, I think we had pork chops and there were some bones and we tossed it in there and then put it in the green can, on Sunday night. But I put most of our items in the compost bin.
Okay, yeah. Marius?
I just use the city setup. So for all the stuff that goes in the green container, I just put stuff in the green container.
And how's that going? So are you happy with that system?
Yeah, it's going very well because all the food that used to just go into the trash is now being diverted into the into the green container.
Great, yeah. And trash bins used to smell to high heaven because of all the food waste has that just switched over to your green bin? Or do you not notice anything?
It switched over to my green bin, but I don't really notice a lot because number one, I try to use every single bit of food I have, and the other is I don't know, it doesn't seem to deteriorate it the same way. I'm not sure what's going on, but it's just different. I don't have like flies or anything like that. There's no smell in it.
Awesome. And I think that that's a testament to how you started this, that you try not to waste anything. Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice work. Do you eat meat?
Well, yes, but yeah, I eat. I try to eat a certain quality of meat, so that way it's better for me. But yeah.
Thanks for being so honest. Yeah, I'm the occasional meat eater.
Yeah.
I same about that sort of lean plant-based, but nice. Thanks, high quality. And Corrine.
Yes. Well, you know what? I found those in order not to have the bin smell, I found that store at Whole Foods biodegradable bags. So I put all the scraps from the vegetables in there and then I toss it in the green bin.
Great.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I'm putting a little container in my refrigerator, so I'm tossing the green scraps through the week
Yeah.
and then into the green bin.
Refrigerator, not the freezer.
I have a 1920, okay, so I'm not eco,
Not the
I
freezer.
have that 1921 refrigerator
Yeah.
with a thing on the top.
Wow.
And a little freezer that doesn't freeze anything inside of it, so no, not the freezer.
Okay.
Just a really cold refrigerator.
Well, I vow to fill out the survey.
Yes.
And I think we all doing a round of.
Well, they'll get a good
Commitments.
contingent from this community.
Yes.
And I'm guessing they've been posting this for a couple of weeks now, so it doesn't say what the deadline is, but it's probably coming up.
Okay, oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. Let's all get it done. And feel free to share with via email with all of us so that we, so that we can feel motivated to do it ourselves if we haven't done it. No, let's go to 3B, new Lasan Neighborhood Council liaison.
Yes.
Does somebody have information on this?
Oh, just her name, and if anybody had a reason to email her, that's a her. It's just her first name dot last name, so tristan.marler@lacity.org. I think a number of us met her at the, I think she was sitting, when CD10 did a cleanup on Washington Boulevard, she was there representing, she was still working for the, let me read this, LA Civil and Human Rights and Equity Department.
Okay.
So we met her there.
I'm sorry, is that LA Sanitation?
Now she's moving departments
To
to
LA
Department of Sanitation.
Okay.
Los Angeles Department of Sanitation.
Okay.
So it's just an announcement. And then similarly, C is an announcement, Saturday, March 23rd, on Crenshaw Boulevard, the Councilwoman Heather Hutt and there's some other organizations are doing a free community recycling. It's hazardous waste and document shredding. I'm going to send out a standalone
Great,
on this.
great.
But it's not all hazardous waste. So the flyer lists what can be brought and what cannot be brought, and the document shredding is just the morning.
Oh, that's good to know.
So
Shredding until 12:30. Okay.
okay,
Good
Okay.
to know. Okay.
all right. So
I have my hand up.
oh, so sorry.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, Laura, I think I remember meeting her at the CD10 cleanup. So in her new capacity, what kind of work would we do with her, or what?
Well,
No.
she would now be the person. So a year ago, I was attempting to work with her predecessor to provide us materials for our Earth Day, that.
Okay.
And then, so they're deep into Earth Day, but they didn't do anything for us because they were deep into their own Earth Day. So they spent a lot of time on that year round. And then, but she would be the person if we needed brochures, if there's a problem related to anything that the Department of Sanitation deals with, which would be composting. So a lot of the topics that we're dealing with, she'd be the person a neighborhood council goes to say, can you help us find this information? And then her job would be theoretically to kind of dig into the staff at the Department of Sanitation to figure out who's the person who could then help us.
Okay.
Now, you can tell me, was it Department of Sanitation that removed the tree cages?
Yes, but that was with Renee Shackelford, who is a regional director for South LA. So
Right.
Right.
So that went direct. So her job here, the liaison's job, is if we didn't know who it was.
okay. So if I could just make two quick points. Recently along at Adams, we believe that it was LA Sands has placed trash cans. And we've never had it along Adams. And I'm very concerned that a similar situation like Washington will take place. So we talked about it yesterday at the Avenues meeting. We're going to wait and see what happens with that. But if someone mentioned that they feel some of the food truck drivers drive around looking for places where they could dump some of their refuge. So we're going to keep an eye on it, but I don't know how those trash cans were. They're about, I would say, probably 5 every other block, every couple of blocks. And it does say LA Sanitation on it. So if that becomes a problem, we might want to talk to her to have those removed.
Well, I thought, because I went to a really unrelated meeting about coyotes. And one of the points that was brought up at that was that there should not be any trash cans by the city on the streets that don't have lids because they're attracting the coyotes. So
I don't know if they have lids or not, but I don't even understand why they're there. I mean, this isn't a commercial district, and if anything, it's, people putting their poop bags in it from their dogs. But other than that, I don't know why it's necessary to have those trash cans. But I'm not complaining about it yet. I'm just mentioning
yeah,
it.
well, at that other meeting, Eric, the CD10 rep south of the freeway was at that meeting, and he was asked by someone who was at the meeting to see if the trash cans could be removed. So I don't know if they're the same ones, but I'm guessing maybe yes.
Very
But not for your reason. This was all about reducing attractiveness to coyotes.
Okay.
So interesting. And he and Liz Bondi seemed to think that was a good idea to not have trash cans.
Well,
So-
you know, we have coyote, I'm not complaining about the coyotes because we need to learn to live with wildlife.
Right.
But we do know that coyotes have meandered along the avenues. And actually at the meeting last night, someone, it may have been Eric, mentioned that there may be a den on the other side of the 10 along the sidewall along there. And he was going to work
On
with,
the north side?
pardon me,
On the north side of
on
the
the
town?
north,
Well,
no, not on the north side of the 10. Yes, the north side, meaning just over the sound wall.
right.
And that he was working with Caltrans to have them come in and clean the area out from Normandy all the way, I don't know, but past our area to get that cleaned out.
Well, there's also a den now in the, I mean, we're really digressing, but in the park-like setting beneath the oil drilling site, you know, the
You
whole,
mentioned that last night too, Laura,
yeah.
that you and he and Ted had
Yep.
identified a den over there.
Coyotes who
Well, I
overnight
had
there,
seen the
or in
photo,
daytime.
I had seen the photos myself on Nextdoor, but in that moment, the gardeners were mowing and
Wow.
came running down in a panic because they came across the coyotes.
Wow.
So yeah, and that was daytime.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but
Yeah, we're
you know
supposed to
what
live with
Teresa
them.
said, we
Yeah,
have
supposed
to,
to live with them.
you know, as best we can.
Mhm.
But I think any of us who have any outdoor porch cats, and a lot of people do, that, you know, I don't know that we're doing them a favor, but, you know, we can't necessarily take all the ferals inside either. So, you know, we have to know that our hearts are gonna be broken one by one. As they become, you know, lunch, dinner. All right.
Can I ask
Okay.
a question? Where are they most identified at?
The coyotes?
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, they've been all over. I think I've seen some posts in Harvard Heights. There was a couple of photos of them sitting on the benches on the pavilion at Gramercy Apartments,
Oh,
kind of just, you know, Washington and Wilton Place by Grace's house.
Oh.
There's a lot here in not a lot of coyotes, but a lot of coyote sightings here in the avenues and in Jefferson Park, like at Montclair and Edge Hill. There was a sighting of a coyote running down Fourth, crossing Adams and in effect diving into the big property that's Holman Church. So,
And one of the telltale signs is they like to leave feces, droppings in the middle of a path, or obviously on a rock somewhere. They've done it in my backyard multiple times where it looks a little different than it's not dog, it's not cat, and it usually has berries in it because they find berries.
Mhm.
So they're obvious. It establishes I've been here, and
Yeah.
we've seen disemboweled opossum.
Have there been any conversation on feral cats being attacked? Because we
Oh,
have
yeah.
a couple
Disappeared.
that we're supporting.
yeah, no, they're eating or partially eating and leaving behind possums, cats.
Have you seen a cat left behind?
Yeah.
Oh,
You know what? They reintroduced wolves, into Yellowstone, and yeah, I mean, other animals die, but the overall ecosystem benefited because there were too many deer and moose and elk in the Yellowstone. And I'm sorry, but I speak for the birds. So domesticated cats are the biggest killer of birds, like leagues ahead of any wind turbine. So, it's an ecosystem and it's going to have an effect, but
Right.
let's try not to
Right.
break our
So
hearts over it.
yeah. So and Teresa, David has even stopped feeding the possums to keep them safe from the coyotes. Because in other words, the coyotes are attracted to the same foods. They also eat berries and grapes and possum food. So Liz Bondi is saying don't feed the possums because that food is attracting the coyotes, not just the possums themselves. So,
And I haven't been feeding. I think the last time last year when we had that hurricane,
yeah.
my neighbor was having a pool party and the possum that lives in the bushes and the trees in that area came out early. And that was the last time I saw the possum. So, he was walking along the wall in the back. So yeah, I haven't been feeding them either. I just don't have
So, I mean, they're not gone. I have a possum or two that eats with my cats, but they're eating, it's just the cat food that disappears real quick, so I don't leave anything out. But I know I'm gonna have a heartbreak one of these days. So, all right.
So what?
We
question-
digressed a little.
Yeah, the question would be a little bit of what we go to the, to Tristan Martler for, and.
Yeah, well, she's essentially, like I said, she is a liaison. So what that means, and the bid means the business improvement district, so
Okay.
not bids for work.
So,
So she her job would be like a planning department has liaisons, a number.
a community liaison.
She,
The question then is, where can we meet her, where can we show up and have a conversation?
well, I think I'd like to ask her if she would come via Zoom to our next meeting, because the other thing that's not on here, because it came out the next day, is there is a circulating starting yesterday, a draft environmental impact report from the Department of Sanitation on plastics reduction.
Nice.
And there's a 45-day comment period. It's a 1,500-page document. Thank you very much. And they're having a couple of public meetings. It's, I don't know how UNNC could effectively comment on this. Lisa Hart is saying that she's going to send out draft community impact statement for neighborhood councils to sign on to. However, this is a different kind of process. It's governed by state law because it's an environmental impact report. So the comment period and who you write the comments to is not the same thing as making a comment to city council, in the city clerk's file management system. So I think if we can, we could see if she'll come to our April meeting.
Yes, please,
and
here.
And talk a little bit about.
And Laura and I talked about it a little bit, is that if we could divvy up 1,500 pages, I mean, I'll read 100 pages. If we could find 15 people to read 100 pages. No, just so that we know what it's about. I think it's out of control that a document is 1,500 pages.
Well, 1,500 pages in 45 days.
And 45 days.
Yeah, if it were.
But, I mean, just 1,500 pages.
I mean, some EIRs are 4,000 pages, so,
And- My point exactly.
Anyway, it is just what it is.
Any comments about getting Tristan Marler to come to in Zoom to one of our meetings?
I'm sure.
Sure.
Does anyone opposed?
Sure.
Yes. We'll see. We'll ask. She's very nice.
Okay, so I think we talked about the community recycling event,
Right.
and now,
You wanted to talk about the,
yeah, so last Saturday I went to, Saturday or Sunday, I went to the quote, Great American Write-In in Santa Ana. And one woman, essentially, she, for the third or fourth year, she rounds up nonprofits in Orange County and rents a hall. I don't remember what building it's at. It's the Delhi Center, and sets up tables and has some food, and it's a write-in, so people are encouraged to come. They have pens there, and the nonprofits specialize in producing postcards and say, this is what we'd like you to tell, influencers, whether it be city, county, state government, or even US, the federal government. This is what we're trying to do in this area, and this is how you can help. And so any, civic-minded person could show up anytime between 9 and 3 and
go from table to
and
table.
go from table to table.
And Were there a lot of climate change or environmental organizations?
Environmental, yes. We were the only, Citizens Climate Lobby was the only climate that we could tell. But there were underserved youth camp one that was great. There was, I have a bunch of flyers at my house, but I would love to have one up here. We have a year, right? To plan. I think you rent a hall, you invite a bunch of people, you talk about the concept, and you see what you get.
That's a great idea.
That's what I want to hear.
I say try it.
Great. Any other thoughts about how could this tank horribly?
Oh,
What's the
because
worst case scenario?
yeah, the city clerk gets involved and tells us how to do it. That's
Oh. I have the contact person of the woman who's run it for 3 years.
yeah. So I looked at the website and I did notice some things that would not be feasible if
Okay.
we were doing it. Meaning a neighborhood if neighborhood councils were doing it. Well, they did put limits. You could be a this but not a that kind of organization.
Right.
So you would not be able to publicize your limits. So if a UNNC was doing something like this, we could do a geographic limit, you know, and we probably wouldn't want to just limit it to UNNC's boundaries,
Right.
but you
Right.
could say you can't be a San Diego organization,
Okay.
but we can't be political in limiting.
Right. I don't remember anything that was political.
Right, well, but their statement up front said you can't, it had about 4 things you couldn't be.
Okay.
You couldn't be racist. Well, I mean, although you shouldn't be racist, we couldn't say that.
Okay. That's funny.
Right,
Yeah.
but because this was a private event,
Right.
right? And so, you know, so there were certain things that I noticed that wouldn't be doable.
Okay.
And beyond that, I thought it looked, physically, the photo of it looked almost like the photo of the annual Archives Bazaar at USC.
Oh,
It
really?
was just rows of tables
Yeah.
with people,
Yeah.
with the vendors on one side of each table and people going up and down the rows and looking at their offerings.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just photographically what it looked like, and it was a really great thing. So,
But I could see, Amy, I could see your
yeah.
a booth of your
By the way, my name's Annie. So.
Annie. I
I'm
thought,
so sorry.
oh, Annie,
I'm so sorry. No, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. But Annie, so I could totally see you have a table there that
Yeah.
was the result of your project.
Yeah.
And that would be informative and helpful. And then too, if you had an ask,
Yeah.
see, you would want an ask.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people could sign a petition, mail some.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, also, overtly, this was about influencing opinion, the great American write-in. We've been actually talking at our board level about having a bunch of nonprofits in the room, but it'd be them talking about themselves and sort of like speed dating.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
and
with
learning
each other.
about,
Yeah.
well, not with each other, where we would bring people who could go from, you know,
Kind of like a pitch fest.
thank you,
Mm,
like a
nice.
pitch fest.
Yeah.
So I think we could more easily do a pitch fest that also could result
Yeah.
in people filling out, you know, writing postcards more than this, which is overtly trying to influence, because I think we're supposed to influence again, this is if a neighborhood council did it.
Right.
Our role is to advise city departments and city officials, and not state officials, and not county officials, and not federal officials. So
Okay. So that's that viewpoint. Thank you. And
that doesn't mean it couldn't be done.
exactly. And I'm more inclined to, I have a libertarian view of this, that like I want to invite who I want to invite. Like Annie, and it's not like, or.
Oh, no, they published limits, so we can invite who we want to
But
invite.
they established those limits. They personally established those limits.
Correct.
Any other, so I hear that I can sort of, just start in on this in however, since am I the only one who's doing this?
Well, I'm saying we might not be, because Teresa, didn't Hunter say that the top vote getter of the ideas we had was the something to do with bringing all the nonprofits together?
I
And then
don't
the
remember-
pet parade.
I really don't remember what the top one was. I thought it was the dog parade, but I don't remember.
I think the dog parade was number 2 and the nonprofits was number 1, even though, remember, I had
Oh,
told them.
yes, the
And I had
nonprofits were
told
number
them,
one.
oh no,
Yes,
oh no,
Wait,
because it was my
Corinne
idea.
said- Corinne, what were you saying?
that was it. That was number one, was the nonprofits. Yeah, I
Okay.
remember that.
Okay,
So,
so who's spearheading that?
Hunter Reese,
Hunter
right?
Rice. Okay,
Yeah, I
So,
think there's
maybe
three-
he can come next month and talk about his idea. He's developing it.
Teresa, what, do we know what our schedule is for dealing with this?
Well, Hunter was unable to attend outreach because that's where I thought that we could run this through outreach. And he did text me today asking about the communications committee meeting. I told him that because he hadn't been approved yet, well, he said, because I haven't been approved and I haven't taken the Brown Act, the Roberts Rules class, what he still have his meeting, and I said no, that he wouldn't. So, do you want to wait until he becomes chair of the communications, or do you want it to go through outreach, or what do you? I don't know the
Well,
proper.
Why don't we invite him to the next meeting?
Well, yeah, because I
It's a little more
also have to
complicated than that,
figure-
Elizabeth.
I'm sorry?
It's a little more complicated than that.
Yeah. Right, because it's very, I'll explain to you after, it's a little more complicated than that, and it's also, we're coming to my question was really, do you think that whatever it is we're doing is probably not this fiscal year, that we're starting to plan for next year, budget year?
Well, that's what I would recommend, because
Yeah.
we're already doing the resource event in Leslie
Right.
Shaw Park. And she wants to do that in June, so why not wait until August or September if we want to do that nonprofit?
So technically, Hunter could call a meeting sometime in April or May. And all of whoever's interested, Elizabeth and everybody else, that's where we convene. Rather than him coming to us and him going to
Okay,
outreach.
yeah, sure.
Because he's pending being our communications director.
I'm just curious about what he'd like to do, what that looks like, what your nonprofit.
I think we're trying to figure it out.
Right, okay.
So I think it could take on whatever
No, I
shape.
was just going to say yes, and I think that if this is something that you feel would fit into that plan, Elizabeth, then you would come and say, well, I would like to have a table or incorporate this experience along
Into it.
into that event.
Yes, right.
Right, or help shape that event. So, anyway, yes.
Okay,
I mean,
sounds good.
weirdly enough, it's
Well,
already in the ether.
Yes.
Just a little different
Sounds
focus
great. Yeah.
than this other one was.
Okay,
But that doesn't mean
right. Could be a great event.
exactly.
Yeah.
And we have some really great nonprofits right here
I know.
within
that's
walking distance.
Yes.
All
Yeah,
right.
it was very heartening. Okay, so great.
Well, this next thing is just, I think we've already talked about future environmental committee agenda items for 2024. Well, let's try and have the next one and see if Tristan will come.
Okay.
And does anybody have any other potential just generic agenda items they want us to consider for the calendar for this year? Oh, and Teresa, the other question for you is, did you, for the tree committee, did you want to adopt like 1 out of 3 of the environmental committee meetings, meaning the night, not the committee?
No,
You did-
no, I don't, and I haven't.
Okay.
I'm just going to do it quarterly, and I don't know
Right,
when I'm going to do that because it may be in person on a Saturday. So
okay.
I haven't.
No,
I haven't
I'm
worked it
only
out yet.
asking because if we start planning out a whole lot of meetings and then your thought was to use the second Thursday quarterly, then that's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
So you
No,
don't
but-
want to use quarterly the second Thursday.
Yeah, no, but thank you, Laura.
Okay, so I see that I think we have 5 more minutes,
Yeah.
and I'd like to start, conclude on time.
Okay.
So the last event to discuss is Rediscover Center's Earth Day Sustainable Arts event on April 21st.
Right. So, and then they keep, everything they've sent to us says April 21st, which is a Sunday. So I'm just still a little surprised it's a Sunday. I want to check in and see if that's not a typo.
It is that Sunday.
It is a Sunday.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that their plan is, I have somewhere written down the hours, but I believe it's 11 to 2 or 3 with a noon opening ceremony.
Right, because they're officially opening this center. They have another center elsewhere. So, and this is the organization that partnered with us
Yes.
in a number of locations. First with us at Ciclavia about a year ago, and then with us on Earth Day last year. And they, for everybody, they're the group that has the recycled materials, and they teach kids to make crafts from them. And I know that you were invited to a Ciclavia in West LA same day.
It's a long day.
Yeah.
What I mean is, the day is long, so I could do, a couple of hours here, a couple of hours there.
Okay.
Not a problem. My concern is that unless they know they have foot traffic and or a large group of people that would come. You all, Teresa, you were there. Marius, I think you attended.
Yeah, he was there.
You were there. Yeah.
Our whole committee was there.
Yeah. And at the event that only we were at, right? And
On Earth Day last year.
on Earth Day last year, next to the library.
It
So
was very disappointing.
all we needed is a bottle of wine, and we would have been very happy. But at Rediscover Center's Earth Day Sustainable, and they were there. They put the time in.
Yeah. They, I know that they're having Amazing Grace Conservatory's choir performing. They're having a stage. They're having one of the AGC students might be being hired as an MC for the event. So
Are they
and
shutting down the road at that point?
I think that
Closing
they're
the
doing the
street?
sidewalk. So
Well, because remember, this property has
Okay.
a lot
Yeah.
of spaces.
yeah, so they're doing it around that property, and
Are they gonna use the interior as well?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Providing food.
I think
Yes.
that there's going to be food there, and they also have stipends going out to local artists to be making installations with the recycled materials and things like that. So
Awesome.
Right, so hopefully they will have more luck than we
They
did.
deserve it. They do wonderful.
Because I
things.
will say that also when Amazing Grace did their event, it had turnout, but it wasn't thousands of people. I mean, it was more than we had.
Right.
This was Teresa, what was that, about a year and a half ago?
Is that where we
yes.
had the
I mean, they had the
pizza?
stage, they had oh, go ahead, Corinne, sorry.
Is that where they passed out a free pizza?
No, the free pizza was at our event. So people
Uh-huh.
had their slice of pizza and then they left.
Oops.
But no, this was on Wilton Place. I want to say it's a year and a half ago. Maybe, yeah.
And I'd love them to come to my elementary school. They need to come to my elementary school.
Oh, yeah. You mean Rediscover?
Yeah.
So anyway, so UNNC will have some sort of table, and I'm hoping this committee can support
Yeah.
the table, basically. But I'm hoping other board members support the table, so that, because again, the time is what, 11 till?
I think it's 11 till 2 or 3.
Short.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's short, but that's not really short from a shift's point of view, because somebody's got to set it up. I mean, most shifts are 2 hours, so that's really almost 2.5, 3 shifts for us.
Okay.
So, okay.
Annie, did you have something?
No.
Okay. It seemed like it. Any other
Just know
comments?
more than us.
Yeah, no, because I'm helping Kate out a little bit, because AGC is partnering with them with that, and then also AGC is trying to partner with them on my event, and then we're also doing a kind of a smaller, more community preview event of the June thing, that's more of a student first half of the semester presentation event on April 14th.
Oh,
So, and that one we're going to be kind of trying out some of the things that will be at the June event. So we're going to try out our first audio piece, and we're also going to be trying out the students' augmented reality things and figuring out what we need to work on still. But then there's also gonna be live poetry and jazz from both students and staff.
Okay, well, so let's cross fingers that all of these events are really popular, and it is 8:30.
All right. Any other comments? Anything to share?
I'm good. Thank you.
Thanks, Corinne. Thanks, Corinne, for being here. At Toastmasters, we go around to say, how was this meeting for you? So, Corinne, let's start with you. How was this meeting for you?
Oh, I
Anything you like?
enjoyed it. It was formative. I like that, there was information shared. Annie, I remember meeting Annie recently, and she reminded me of her upcoming event, which is great. And in terms of the events of just brainstorming regarding the nonprofits and incorporating some creativity based on what you experience. I like that. Thank you.
Thanks. Marius, how was this meeting for you?
It was great. Had a lot of great information and really good suggestion about that event. So it's good stuff.
Thanks, Marius. Are you going to go to the Theodore Payne Poppy Days, I think, at the end of March? Do you know that?
I don't think I've gotten a email or letter, but I will be keeping open about it. So I'll be checking. I probably might be checking it out. Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Teresa, I'm so glad you joined us. Sorry for the reason that you had to.
Yes. Thank you, Elizabeth. And I thought the meeting was good.
Awesome. Great. Thanks. Laura, how was this meeting for you?
It's like, hey, it was just swell.
If you say that, it makes it so.
Okay. It was just swell.
And Annie,
No, actually, I thought, it's nice that people are sharing.
I think so too.
I thought this was great. It was really nice to meet people and to receive people, and yeah, I'm just excited to get the ball rolling and to hear about what's going on in the community.
And are you staying in our community when your grant is up?
I'm hoping to continue to help out Amazing Grace with other projects. So hopefully I'll be continuing to be part of the AGC family after my grant ends.
Great.
Yeah. So how
All
was
right.
it for you?
This was okay. I get grumpy. I was published recently in the LA Times with a letter where I was responding to a story about how we were talking about requiring climate messaging in movies and television. And I said, excuse me, what? Excuse me, what? And I said, I'm an ardent environmentalist who actually feels like I should be walking around with a sign that says the end is near. But then basically we just need a carbon price. The point is that I often feel like I need to go around with a sign that says the end is near. But I talk to you guys, I'm here in your presence, and I begin to feel like hopeful and supported and happy. So thanks all for your energy, your spirit, and your heart. That's it.
Okay.
And I think meeting adjourned. See you next month.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
So
Right.
if you didn't already save the chat with that link and or don't have it in your email from our e-blast on Compost, you have a moment before I really end the meeting to save the chat for the link to LAS.
Oh, I finished it. I finished the
You
survey.
already finished it. Okay.
Yes.
Takes 5 minutes.
You finished it during this meeting?
Yes,
Okay, so it's easy. All right.
yes, very easy, very.
All right,
Okay, great.
so I'm gonna take my own advice and save the chat. I don't know why, but I am. And